Attention, everyone. This is an emergency broadcast. The unpleasant noise you are about to hear coming from your radio is not a mistake. Please do not turn off your radio, but turn up the volume on your receiver as high as it can go so that you can make the sound we broadcast as loud as possible.
Positively Horrid, the horror movie review show with a morbid affection for the macabre.
I am your badass heroine who actually survives the movie, Amanda Lane Olsen. And joined with me, as always, is my adorable ginger kitty cat, William.
Wilsey.
Wilsey, not Jonesy.
Xenomorph-sided cat. That cat's motives are suspect.
I think you're wrong. I trust that cat wholeheartedly.
This week we watched 1979's iconic space horror movie, Alien.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, this when people think of horror as a genre, especially classic horror, it's definitely something that pops up. This one gets a lot more credit, like movie credit. Mm-hmm. I think we talk about a lot. It probably isn't even sometimes referred to as horror. I bet it's referred to as a thriller. That's the go-to cop-out. I
mean, that's what I've always sort of seen it as, or just lumped in with sci-fi with the rest of
but sci-fi,
you know? Sci-fi has a specific, story type.
Yeah, but it's almost more of a setting than it is a
exactly.
Well,
genre. That's what it is. But I've always heard Alien referred to as a sci-fi movie, but sci-fi is only the setting, and the genre, in this case, is horror.
And I realized, because I read a couple of reviews, I wanted to kind of get why this. I mean, this one I've seen before.
I hadn't.
And I love the world they made. But I did want to get, the experts, the quote-unquote experts' opinion on why it was so iconic. And I think it's tough for us because by the time... I mean, you saw this yesterday.
Yes, I did.
And even by the time I saw this, I was old, although it traumatized me real bad as a kid.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see why. It's kind of a terrifying movie. When I was young... I got spooked by the big bad wolf at Storyland in New Hampshire and kept having nightmares about wolves until I was 15.
Yeah, the Nothing of Neverending Story did that to me for a little bit. He was a spooky wolf. Yeah, so I until just now, because I was trying to think movies, I get why it's scary. I think we have a higher, not standard, but we expect a little more faster paced horror and a little... But now, looking back, the first time I saw this, it scared me. And I think people in the 70s got real scared, too.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't scare me as much, but that's because I had heard so much about these movies, and I knew so much about them going into it that, I knew what a xenomorph looked like. Mm-hmm. I knew what a facehugger was and what they did. And so, and I knew about the chest bursting scene, and I knew about all of these things because they've become so iconic that I don't live in a media vacuum. I understand that these things have happened, and so I can't really go into this movie with a completely clean slate because of that. But
we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, ripping apart the fish parts and shellfish viscera of a facehugger before we've even discussed what happens in the movie.
It's true. So
this movie has a long opening.
I liked it though.
Yeah, it was very cool. I mean, this movie's just practical. I mean, you kind of had to be. I don't think there was much in the way of that you were going to do special effects wise. So this massive models all over the place. There's a model for the ship. There's a model for the cargo they're towing. The movie opens. They're basically a space truck hauling minerals and
ore specifically, and an ore refinery rig.
Yes. So I guess it was probably just working while they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was because it had a core that that dies. The core does not make it through.
No, it does not.
Yeah, and it's just getting all I guess it's good because it gives you a feel for the ship's layout, because once the movie starts, you don't really get that. Like, there's the galley, there's the bridge, there's a couple of hallways that we see now and again, and I guess that opening does give you a very good establishing, because other than that, they don't,
there's not a lot of, like, this is where this is on the ship, this is where that is on the ship.
Med Bay and Mother, those are the other ones.
Yeah.
Everybody's in stasis, and then they wake up. Everybody gets into position because they figure they're in Earth. They're ready to start their
descent.
Or at least the system, because Ripley keeps saying it's not our system.
Yeah.
So probably once you get into the solar system, you come back on manual. But they are not at the solar system, our solar system. They are at LV-426, with the system for that, which they don't know what that is. They're way off course. And it's because their ship got a distress signal from an unknown source. So in a very weird, I mean, it was the very late 70s, early 80s, I guess, tech. It's my favorite future, which I call 80s future. But for they basically had a computer that was massive because you sat inside of it.
Yeah.
And it mostly was a magic 8-ball.
Kind of?
You were like,
yeah.
Hey, why are we here? Ask again later. I remember Mother being creepier, but maybe there was a deleted scene that I am remembering.
I don't know.
Ridley Scott likes to make several movies from one movie. Because he did Blade Runner as well, right?
I think so.
And which is in this universe a lot of people have made the argument for, and I totally believe that.
I mean, they do have synthetic humans. That's fair.
Like, it's not an official thing, but there's so many, like, online. Blade Runner takes place in this, and then technically Terminator takes place in this universe.
That's weird.
Because Mother is a Cyberdyne Systems. And the same with in Aliens, Bishop mentioned Cyberdyne Systems.
That's wild. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's a cool universe.
Wow.
Anyway, they woke up because there's a stress signal. Captain Dallas goes to talk to Mother. Doesn't really get much. There's just a distress signal. They're there. I forget when
I don't remember a lot of their other names. I remember Dallas. I remember
Brett and Parker are the engineers that want more shares.
Yep.
Lambert's the other female character. Ash is the doctor. Oh, and John Hurt, whose name I forget. Kane.
That's right.
Yeah, also all-star cast.
Yeah. Oh my God. Right.
Yeah, Harry Dean Stanton, Tom Skerritt. I don't know who played Lambert. Ian Holmes and John Hurt. So they're arguing because they just want to go home. They don't give a shit about this distress signal. Yeah.
And then one of them pulls out.
The doctor points out that they
that's right. It was Ash. See.
When you look back,
I hate Ash.
Fucking them over from the beginning.
I hate Ash so much. I always hated Ash.
He points out that there's a clause in the company they work for, which I don't remember if they called it Weyland-Yutani until the second movie.
They just called it the company, I think.
Which was
the company.
Yeah. So that's another world building thing they do so good, is just like establishing this like cyberpunk, the company rules our entire lives, like it's this ominous thing that never shows up in the movie, but they establish like rules and just the language they use, like with the shares and the exclusive rights and this and that.
Yeah.
But Ash points out that if they encounter a distress signal that's from a source that they don't know, potentially being intelligent life, they are required to investigate, or all their shares are forfeit from the trip.
Yep. So because they want the money, they decide to go check it out.
Yeah, well, they get fucked over on their whole, that's a year more of income for like a long haul trucker
easily
like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, goodness knows how long they were gone for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how long that trip takes.
Well, I think they say it's like 6 weeks to Earth from where they were, so probably a couple months, I would say. But yeah, so they go to check it out. They do a cool thing of like they ditch their cargo so they can land the ship. I couldn't figure out if just landing in atmosphere is really tough or if their ship sucks.
Probably a combination of the two.
Because it like falls apart and breaks as soon as they try to enter the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And then when they leave later, they're very happy that it only broke a little bit.
It's true. Yeah, no, it seems to me like, it was probably not a completely super high-tech ship. But
yeah, I mean, it's not an exploratory event. Again, they were probably trying to off-road in the 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be doing anything.
Right, exactly.
So they land, the ship gets broken, engineers on the ship have been bitching about money, so when they ask them to fix the ship, they're like, yeah, it'll take forever. Fuck you. Mm-hmm. Kane and a couple, I forget, Dallas and Lambert.
Dallas, and Lambert went to
go find the distress signal.
Yes.
And it's a shitty wind planet where they make wind.
Yep. Lots and lots of it.
Fog.
And huge-ass rocks.
Yeah. So just a wind rock planet.
Yep. Completely inhospitable.
And they find a spaceship. Giant horseshoe spaceship that I thought they were not crazy, which is something I think the Alien and the next movie we watched don't establish well. Like, is there possible alien life that they kind of know about? Because, like, they go into this ship, they find a giant dead alien.
Yeah.
And it, like an intelligent one, because it was flying a ship.
Right. And
they're kind of like, oh, that's crazy. Not like, holy shit, there's intelligent life out there. Like,
I feel like they're probably aware of the fact that there is other intelligent life and that they study it because, like...
Well, it's still like a crazy... So you think maybe they found, like, a pyramid on another planet, like kind
I don't
of
know,
like
maybe
lost civilizations.
Yeah, something like that.
Because like they're surprised, but not like
they're not blown away.
Whoa.
Well, I mean, I think because they also got a distress signal, they were expecting to find something as well.
Yeah, but just I don't know. Maybe it's what my expectations of like if you find intelligent life for the first time, that's crazy.
Well, but technically, they didn't find intelligent life; they found intelligent dead.
Yeah, you're right.
But
that's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm gonna headcanon that maybe they have found other like lost stuff before.
Yeah, I would believe that.
And then they decide to explore the ship. I thought John Hurt was being a little cavalier.
Yeah.
Because he finds this room that's still either temperature regulated. Well, yeah, it's temperature regulated because there's that weird techno
mist.
fog.
Yeah.
That they did a cool effect with.
It's all blue.
Yeah, well, they used a light just to light up that one small section.
That one section?
But it made it look like a force field.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And from the best I could figure, once you triggered fog wall, it triggered the aliens. Because they clearly have been there for a very long time, dormant. He also pokes one.
Yeah, that was my guess, was that like his proximity to the one that burst is why only one opened. And not all of them. You know what I mean?
Yes. I didn't know what the fog, maybe it preserved them.
That was what I thought. Didn't he say that it gave some sort of resistance as well when he
he said it reacted when he broke the seal.
Yeah.
So this alien egg opens up, and it was just the most disgusting actual animal parts we found out.
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
And then...
I love physical effects. They're so good.
And the face hugger comes out, which is just...
Pops right at him.
2 human hands with a tail, more or less.
More or less.
Like I'm not knocking it, like they're creepy, but... And then we go back to the ship. Dallas and Lambert are like, let us in. Something's on his face, and...
We have to get him to the medbay immediately.
And Ripley locks the door. And
is like, no, you know the rules. You know the policy.
Yeah, it's 24-hour quarantine. You have to, I guess, in the airlock.
Yeah.
And then Kane lets them in.
Kane doesn't let them in. Ash lets them in.
The doctor, Ian Holmes.
Is he the doctor, or is he just the science officer?
You know what? I always assumed he was the doctor from watching the movie as a kid. And he does know a lot about biology. Yeah. But yes, they do just call him the science officer. But he clearly served the purpose of like a ship doctor.
Like a medic?
At least a little bit.
Okay.
I thought.
Yeah.
But yes, they let him in. Ripley's pissed. He kind of plays it off like, that's not the one where he says he forgot chain of command, right?
No.
He was just kind of like, I made a call.
More or less, yeah. Like, I made a call to save this man's life, and, well, because of the call that you made to save this man's life, we might all die.
Yeah. I forgot how cool the alien attached to his face through the helmet looked, which I guess they can spray a little bit of acid.
Gosh, that was so wild. Yeah, I loved it.
They crack that open. They can't get it off because it starts to strangle him. They're afraid it'll kill him. Oh, well then...
Well, yeah, because it has the, like, ovipositor down his throat.
Yes, which is feeding him oxygen, they think, keeping him alive.
Yeah.
And then also implanting an egg.
And then the tail is wrapped around his throat and tightens every time they touch it.
But they do decide to try to remove it surgically anyway, which it's a little thing, but I liked that conversation where they had that like, will you take like again, they have to do everything like paperwork.
Yeah,
they work
absolutely.
For a dumb corporation, and so they try to cut it off and spray that acid blood down on the floor.
Stupid acid blood. Then they basically chase the drippage of acid blood through,
which is
like
I really
3
liked
levels.
That scene.
I did too.
It didn't do much other than to establish you can't stab them or break their skin
because acid blood will spray everywhere and it will corrode through everything.
Yeah, and they were worried it would eat through the hull of the ship. This was just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were talking about just freezing them, like putting them into hypersleep and waiting to get back to Earth. Yeah, I think it's just kind of more
one of those things
establishing.
Yeah, and then.
But basically, the facehugger comes off. Yes. They freak out because it could be loose in the ship. They end up finding it kind of like in an overhead vent. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they pull it out. He starts prodding it, which that was another one we looked up was all seafood. Basically. They used to make it. And I remember them talking about that the blood goes inert after a while, after they die.
I think that's correct, which is why they were okay with, like, cutting it open and stuff.
But I don't know if it was this movie.
And, like, Ash kept on spewing science, like, pseudoscience BS, like, about this thing. And I was like, how do you know this about this life form if this is your first time interacting with this type of life form?
Well, he's working on it nonstop. And I do like that because he's looking at it through the microscope, and then Ripley comes over and he turns off all the monitors he was looking at, which was like a subtle, like, you don't need to know what I'm doing here. Mm-hmm. Also, I didn't know that this movie is where they it's silicon based. Yep, which is why the acid doesn't eat their blood, because they're silicate, not carbon. And then Kane wakes up. Yep.
Everybody goes together and has dinner together.
Well, they're going to go back to hypersleep, but they all want to eat before they do it. Yeah. And then the first big iconic moment of the movie happens.
I loved it.
Kane starts freaking out. He's maybe having a seizure. He's coughing. Everybody's holding him down. And
all sorts of convulsions.
Yeah, and then blood shoots out of his chest. Mm-hmm. And then it does it again and just fucking sprays everybody. And then Lambert especially, which the more I read, the more it sounds like that actress kind of got crapped on by Ridley Scott, the whole filming product, which is why she was so like
over the
broken and sad the whole time, like, which makes her character so good. But I always hate those, like, I
hate it when a director tries to break his actors.
I don't think he meant to, but but he did mean to extra shoot her with the blood they didn't know about, because he knew she'd freak out about it.
That's fair.
So, and then
that was good.
Maybe the weakest effect of the movie is the little alien
coming out of the chest.
Well, out of the chest is fine, but when he looks around, he's like, "Who are you? I'm out of here!" And then he slides across the table.
I did love that. Like, it looked like it had metallic teeth.
Yeah, well, they do.
Yeah,
their teeth are metal,
which was cool. It was so good.
He was just kind of cute and silly.
Yeah, basically. And they were like, what the fuck? And then Kane was dead.
Well, yeah.
So dead. And then they had that on-ship funeral for him where they shot his body out the airlock.
I forgot that happened.
Out the airlock.
And, start coming up with ways to hunt this thing. It has acid blood, so I don't know if they have guns, but they can't use guns. Mm-hmm. They get a caliprod, they make a motion detector, and a net.
And a net.
And they're going to go around just hunting down this little snake. And they also realize they have a cat on board, and they're like, we're never gonna find this fucking thing if Jonesy's running around too. So they have Harry Dean Stanton go get the cat. Yep. And he finds goopy alien snakeskin, so it's shedded at least once. Yep. Molted. And then it goes,
it's growing. It's growing fast.
Which we had canon that it's eating rats, but
it needs to be eating something that's growing that big.
Matter can't be created.
Yeah, it needs to be eating something to give it the energy that it needs to molt.
Just chowing down on doozer sticks down there. Harry Dean Stanton follows Jonesy into the clanky chain dripping water room. Yep. Which is, I don't know, just exists to be creepy.
I thought that it had more of an actual thing to it.
Why is all that water dripping?
Maybe that's part of the ore refinery part.
Did you just drop water when they
No,
were in the
it's
ore
like
refinery?
mist. Yeah.
They were still in the Nostromo. They never go into the big
That's
city
fair.
they're hauling.
That's fair. I don't know.
Anyway, he opens his mouth and drinks it, which is disgusting.
I know, right?
As a child,
That's
that
gross.
loved when it rained, and one time opened my mouth when roof water hit. It
Oh,
was so
no!
gross. So Harry Dean Stanton is a fucking animal.
Clearly.
And he gets jumped by a giant human-sized xenomorph.
Yep.
I guess they find it because they say
Jonesy does hiss at it though, which
yeah, that's Jonesy was distracting Harry Dean Stanton while
Yeah.
the alien snuck up on him.
no, he hissed at the alien and was like, "Oh, this son of a bitch, I don't like him."
And the alien was like, "Thanks, kid."
No, I refuse to believe that Jonesy was helping the xenomorph.
He grabs Harry Dean
He
Stanton.
hates it.
I don't know. I guess they found his hat, like, because there's no body, but they just kind of like, oh, he's gone.
Didn't
they find
they
him
say they
shoved into an
saw
airlock.
him?
Or,
Oh.
yeah. No, Parker says he pulls him into an airlock. That's what he says.
Gross.
Now they're extra freaked. They're like, I think that's when they just start. They want flamethrowers now.
Yeah, they
like, it's
just
huge.
start crumbling because they're like, this thing is not cat-sized anymore.
Yeah.
It grew huge fast.
And they realize it's using the airlocks.
And the vent systems.
Yeah. That's what I meant. The air, whatever, the vent system.
The air ventilation systems.
And their plan is still to shove it
The
out.
vents.
Yes.
Yeah.
To shove it out into space.
Out the airlock.
Like, we can't kill it.
Yeah,
It'll bleed on us, and then we'll die.
basically.
So Dallas decides to. Well, their plan is to have someone go into the airlock and then
Air
chase. Well, yeah, into the air vents, but they're going to chase it to an airlock.
Yes.
And Ripley's like, "I'll do it," and Dallas says, "No, you won't. I'm a big, strong man, and I'll do it."
This entire movie, everybody should have been listening to Ripley.
well,
the entire movie. Listen to Ripley, you guys. Listen to Ripley.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the I think that's really the what's the word I'm looking for? The moral of this movie. Listen to women, guys.
So Dallas goes into my least favorite height of a thing, which is crouching only.
Ugh,
Like, so he's not crawling, which I'd be more okay with. I hate that, like, can't stand up enough to be comfortable.
I hate crawling more.
I'd rather crawl. I hate that, like, because you're so close to, like, just getting almost comfortable.
Nope. I could just hang out on my knees and just shuffle, and I'd be fine.
I mean,
I'm also not as tall as you.
Yeah, that's what I see. I'm in this position. I feel like more in my real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Skerritt goes into the air vents, and he just gets got. Like,
Totally got.
their whole plan sucked
It really did.
because they can see where it is, but it still sneaks up on them. So they clearly
Somehow, yeah.
Well, but there's like two levels to the vent he was in because he goes down a ladder.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he dies, and they're all still freaking out. Now that he's dead, Ripley's the commanding officer.
Mm-hmm.
So she needs to know what's going on. Ash gets more and more cryptic and less useful. So she says, "Screw it, I'm going to go talk to Mother." Finds out that Ash's orders and the ship's orders were to retrieve the life form at LV-426, which apparently the company knew about.
Mm-hmm.
All of their priorities rescinded.
Yep.
And
it did say, Mother did specifically say,
crew expendable.
all crew expendable.
So she's freaking out, and then she goes, I guess, to go tell the crew or do whatever, and then Ash starts closing doors on her and traps her in...
It was in one of the, what do you call it? One of the, like, cabin areas.
Oh, yeah.
Because what's-his-face's porn was all over the place.
So Ash just grabs Ripley and just fucking throws her into the wall.
Mm-hmm. And rolls up a dirty magazine. And
also it's just so creepy. Like, I kind of skipped over that. But
God, it was so
Ian
creepy.
Holmes, to me, is the scarier monster.
He really is. No, he was absolutely
than the
terrifying. And completely and totally, like...
I guess because it's easier to also put his creepy... Because he looks human, even though he doesn't have morality, and that because he mentions that's why he likes the xenomorph so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess him looking human to me makes him creepier.
Well, yeah, because people like him do exist, even if... spoiler alert, guys, he's a synthetic being.
Yeah, well, he starts sweating white juice.
Yeah.
Which I don't like. I realized after we watched it, he drinks a cup of milk or white liquid. So
a cup of milk?
Milk.
Milk.
From a cow.
Yes, from a cow.
And so...
I mean, it's not goat's milk. Well, it could be goat's milk.
Yeah, it's space milk. Well, space milk's blue, so it's not space milk.
Ugh, no, it's not.
Yeah, first he sweats white juice, and then...
And I was like, what's wrong with him? Is he
He just drinks too much milk. So that's all he's like. It's like those Gatorade commercials.
Where they...
really
oh my
gross.
god, I forgot about those! I
So,
forgot
yes.
about those Gatorade commercials.
Yeah, so he grabs Ripley, rolls up a porno mag, and starts to just try to asphyxiate
Shove it
her
down
by
her
shoving
throat.
it into her mouth.
Which I didn't really get, because it is clear at that point that he is strong enough that he could just wrap his hand around her throat.
I mean, that whole scene from then on, like, he's just weird and erratic. I don't think he was meant, which they talk about in Aliens a little bit, like, I don't think the robot or the synthetics are supposed to be able to hurt people.
That's fair.
And so I think he was, like, freaking out, because nothing happened to him before he starts going crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's supposed to be doing stuff like this, but he's, like, losing it. Because he becomes very
violent.
robotic.
Yes, yes, that too.
Even in the fight when Parker...
It's very static.
Yeah, Parker and Lambert show up and try to rip him off, and yet he's, like, just weird.
Yeah.
Even though he is stronger than all of them. And then Parker nails him with, like, a thing.
And he literally just sort of, like, rips his head off.
Sock'ems his head off.
Oh, my God.
And
it was so unnerving. That was amazing.
Yeah, the whole
effects, by the way.
Creepy. It kind of looks like the inside of a tauntaun, if you guys remember that. It's
like
plastic tubing guts.
It's like those like ghost organ things that have been going around as a thing that have existed.
Yeah.
But like they don't, because they're not filled with blood, they're not red, they're still white.
Yeah. So it's almost like an organic robot. And in the acting I like, because Parker, he just yells, it's a goddamn android.
Yeah.
Not like, what the fuck? So, with no exposition and very subtle acting, as a viewer, you're like, okay, so this is a thing that exists in the world, but they did not know he was one of them.
Yes. Which I loved. Yeah. I thought that made perfect sense.
And then his body still tries to grab everybody.
Yeah, his mostly beheaded body. Yeah. It's like his bust, basically, is just hanging off of him.
I think that they just pretty much right away turn him back on. They don't fix him. They just kind of hook some wires up into his neck and prop his head up, and so
they can question him.
Yeah, so he's been studying it. Can you kill it? And he's like, no. Which he doesn't have to be honest, but I don't know. I just never got the feeling he was lying. Why would he?
Yeah.
He's like, you can't kill it. It's nearly indestructible. It's the perfect organism. Its physical form is only matched by its aggression. And that's when Lambert's like, you respect it. And he's like, I admire it. It's not held down by morality.
Yeah. Gross.
I know. I liked that little speech.
It was good, and it perfectly made sense for his character, but it was still gross.
Yeah. And then they just set him on fire, which from like submarine movies that I've seen and stuff, one, they smoke all the time and they have no problem with open flames, which when you have like compressed air and stuff,
that's bad news. It's bad news, bears,
for nothing else. That fires, they only got so much oxygen. Well, I don't know, I guess in the aliens world they can terraform and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, but
that
technology is still 50 years in the future.
It's true. So yeah, and now it's like just full blown. We're gonna get the fuck out of here. We're gonna blow the ship up. Yeah, at that point they're just gonna blow, because fuck the company. Yeah, they don't care. They're just gonna probably kill us when we get there.
So
anyway.
the plan is essentially to try to.
They have a shuttle.
Keep the alien on the ship proper, and to all go down to the shuttle.
Which could
not fit 4.
Whatever dumb Titanic reasoning.
Well, no, I think it was because it only had like 2 or 3 stasis pods.
Yeah, but why would you have not enough lifeboats for the people on your ship?
That's fair. I don't know.
It's because they work for an unregulated, massive corporation. So why are they going to buy a second lifeboat?
Yeah, exactly.
No one's telling them they have to.
Right.
I see. 10 years ago, I would have said that was stupid and unbelievable. But now that I live in 2019, I'm like, yep, that
makes sense.
That's the world.
That makes sense.
So yeah, they're trying to load up the ship. I figured those were like fuel pods.
Yeah.
That Lambert and Parker were.
That's
grabbing.
what they seemed like. It was something like that.
Ripley
something
something
flammable.
They need desperate. Well, no, I thought
they were
fuel
taking it
for
with
the
them.
ship.
Ooh, interesting.
Or oxygen, something they needed.
Yeah.
And so they're gathering that up. Ripley sets the self-destruct and then realizes that she left Jonesy.
She realizes that she's the only survivor.
No, that's when she tries to turn it off.
Yeah, but she only has 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah, so maybe
so that doesn't happen until later after she gets Jonesy.
No, but she's still chasing Jonesy when Lambert and Parker.
Yes, she is.
Got so
she's trying to pack him up, but she has not started the self-destruct yet because after the self-destruct sequence gets initiated, you only have 5 minutes to shut it off, and that's that whole part later.
So Parker gets jabbed with the alien's little penis mouth, and then Lambert gets shoved through by its penis tail.
Gross!
So Ripley can't get to the shuttle yet. Yeah, because that's when she tries to turn it off. Because she's like, I can't get to the shuttle. The alien's in the way. Yeah,
but she turns it on, then tries to get to the shuttle, then realizes she can't, then goes back up and runs out of time.
My point is that at some point she leaves Jonesy in a cat cage, and the alien is right there and doesn't kill Jonesy.
After she realizes she is the only survivor and she doesn't have to wait for them, she turns on the self-destruct sequence and then just books it out of there.
Why doesn't the alien kill Jonesy? Because they're working together.
I just think that the alien doesn't see Jonesy as a, threat.
Or something it can shove an egg in.
Yeah, it's too small.
Yeah.
He's too small. Sorry.
So anyway, Ripley... Whatever happens, Ripley.
No, I'm right.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying I'm confused.
Yeah. So
she tries to turn it back off.
She does try to turn it back off at that point. She has dropped the cat carrier and is hustling her ass back up to try to turn it off.
Which I get why it's so hard to turn on. Because it's something you don't want to be able to just do by accident or without thinking. It should turn off real easy. I don't think you should have to do the whole process.
Yeah, I guess. But I
don't think I'd have a problem being like, well, it takes 5 minutes to turn the self-destruct on, but if you just change your mind, you can just click it right off.
I mean, I still understand why, because that turning it off again is just as much of because of the way that it turns on, it's not just it's time to self-destruct now. It turns off the coolant and starts to make it so that the ship is uninhabitable and will therefore explode. And so undoing all of that so that the ship becomes habitable again is just as difficult.
This ship needs more safety regulation is what I'm saying.
I mean, yes, that's fair.
But yeah, so she's like, fuck it, I gotta get out of here. And you get this very tense... She does
curse out Mother, which I loved.
This very tense moment where she has the flamethrower, the ship's lights are all off except for the blinking emergency lights, and she's just trying to get to the shuttle but doesn't know where the alien is. And
freaking out the entire damn time.
Yeah, and it just does not show up.
And so she's like, great, it must have moved somewhere else onto the ship. Awesome. Yeah, so boom, done.
She gets onto the shuttle and... takes off
just in time.
Yeah, because that ship is 3 miles long.
Yeah.
And a very cool 80s explosion that I'm a big
liked
fan
it a lot.
of.
I liked it a lot. It was good. It was a good explosion.
It was like a Dune explosion.
Yeah. And then she's like, phew, okay, we're good. Starts to relax. Puts Jonesy into a stasis pod. Starts to get ready herself.
Horror movie rules and gets into her underwear.
Well, but that's how she has to get into a stasis pod.
But it felt so...
It does follow horror movie rules in that way, where she's got to be naked. Those were some tiny, tiny panties.
Yeah, that's what... she could have gotten into... I don't know. It's not gratuitous. It's just very like...
It was the same way with the dudes at the beginning, though. I was like, damn, that I can see
weird
the outside
underwear.
of your ball sack. I could just see...
Yeah, it wasn't like
Yeah.
gross she's in a bikini. Like, I'm not bitching. I'm just like...
It's just one of those things that's
funny
like,
that it's another horror movie
trope.
where the heroine has to get into her underwear.
Yeah.
She realizes that she's getting everything ready is all tuckered out and taking a nap in a corner.
Yep.
That part always kind of ruined it for me because it's that thing I talk about where you see the monster doing human-y stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It took so much.
It's a life form, so it
I know,
gets
but
exhausted.
It's been so relentless and hidden and in control as a horror movie monster is,
Yeah.
and then he's like, like just take.
He's just a baby.
I know it just.
He's just a baby, Will.
It hurt it a little bit for me because then I also kind of feel bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's a life form who's just doing what's instinctually, like, necessary for it to survive.
But Ripley very quickly formulates a plan. She gets her spacesuit on. She straps herself into one of the chairs. She grabs a standard issue space grappling hook. Just fucking vents the ship.
Yep.
Well, no, because she wakes the thing up and then
she lets a whole bunch of, like, different gases.
Yeah, because she wants to spray him in his little face and get him pissed off. And then in a scene that I think should be more iconic of the ones people remember, because she can see the thing, but she has to turn around to open the airlock, so she doesn't know where the fuck it is. And the spacesuit means she can't see behind. That part
I
might
loved
have
it,
freaked
and
me out.
she was singing to herself the whole time too, which was beautiful.
And then I didn't remember if they played with the fact that she wasn't looking. Like, is it my brain that's making me so afraid, or is this part of the movie? And then right before she vents it, it's
right
fucking
there
behind her. So I was like, good on you, Scott. And she tries to vent it. It's like, nope, parkour. So she shoots it with the grappling hook, which it then uses to try and pull itself
back into the ship,
back into the like thruster port. So she just fucking blasts it.
And it's just like, no.
And fires it out into space.
Goodbye.
And takes Jonesy for a nap, says a little review of what had happened for the ship's log, and takes a nap.
Woo. So yeah, that's Alien, you guys. It was really good. I really, really loved it. And apparently, like, we did a little bit of research this time. Apparently that's Sigourney Weaver's first movie?
Yeah, she'd only done Broadway before that.
Holy shit, you guys. Like, she is so fucking badass. Like, obviously, I'm watching this and I'm just like, yeah, this is typical Sigourney Weaver badassness. But I didn't realize this was her first film.
Yeah,
it's
that's
crazy.
just who she was.
It's just who she is as a person.
Now, this is so good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this movie, I think, deserves its status. That I will begrudge it only because, I think more horror movies should get
more of an iconic status.
Yeah, I think they have people give it the fair shake they gave Alien. Because there's other horror movies. I mean, we haven't watched a lot of them yet, but there's, like, I think Halloween deserves more respect after I've seen it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, like we said, it's tough to, even with you having not seen it, like you said, you don't live in a
I don't live in a media vacuum. It's so iconic that I knew everything.
Not even the movie itself, but just like, you can't see sci-fi without seeing aliens, like, little fingers pop up and touching it with, like, space design or terminology or just kind of the rules it's set up. Like, I recently went through and did some, like, classic sci-fi reading just to, like, I realized I'd never read Dune, I'd never read Starship Troopers, I never read Neuromancer, and I was going through them, and it's tough because I find a lot of them boring.
Yeah.
But I also have to realize, like,
Dune is a heavy read.
Yeah. Well, Neuromancer is like Proto-Matrix. It invented cyberpunk, which is just stuff I'm so familiar with that when I was reading, I was like, oh, right, none of this exists. Like, I'm like, yeah, these are all tropes. Like, what?
Yeah,
cool.
But none of them existed before
fucking
this.
Philip K. Dick?
Yeah.
I think was Neuromancer. It's just fucking invented.
That sounds familiar.
All of that. And Aliens is like that too. Like, so many sci-fi and space tropes and even horror tropes were invented by this movie, and it was tough to see. Because, like I said, I found it a little long.
I loved every minute of it. But it was my first time seeing it, so I understand how, like, I mean, I'm used to movies with slow exposition, and I think it was super purposeful in that way.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, it wasn't any slower than, like, the original Halloween.
Right, yeah.
Which had a very...
It was a lot of exposition, was what it was, before it got to the action
And then
part.
got murdery right in the last, like, not, like, back into the third act.
Yeah, exactly. But I loved the way that it built up intentions and suspicion as well the entire time. Because, like, all of the things that Ash kept doing kept on making Ripley not trust him. Which was perfect. And I loved it. Because it was subtle, but it was there.
Yeah, it's very... We've already watched Aliens.
Yeah.
I didn't want to review them side by side, but it's kind of tough not to, like with Halloween, to look back. Because, like, one of my favorite things of the Aliens world is, like, the mega corporation, that Weyland-Yutani is the villains, not really the xenomorphs.
Yeah.
And Aliens is very heavy-handed with it, whereas Alien was a lot more subtle.
It was so much more subtle about it. Because, like, obviously the imminent threat is the xenomorph, but the villain that had the most nefarious intentions was the corporation.
Yeah, because they're the only... And I was going to say, they're the only ones who are kind of culpable because they have morality.
Yeah.
The alien doesn't, especially in this movie. I really don't think it's doing anything other than
trying to
survive. It's
exactly.
doing exactly what it's coded for. It's not making any decisions. I don't think Ash is either. He's a robot and technically was given order. Like, I don't know what exactly...
He was given orders to fulfill this mission.
I don't know what the exact rules are for artificial peoples.
At this point in time, yeah, I'm not sure either.
But in terms of, like, free will,
right?
But I'm kind of assuming if the corporation that made him is like, you have to do this, he has to do it. It doesn't help that, like, it's so easy to hate him.
It's so easy to hate him. I hate him.
He's not torn about it, because why would he? He doesn't care. He doesn't have morals. He's just a robot. He's a machine.
Yeah.
But because he's a human-looking one, it's easier to...
It makes it feel more like an abject betrayal.
Yeah, because the real villain is literally a line of blinking green text.
Yes.
The all other priorities rescinded. Like, that's...
Yeah.
That's all the corporation is. We barely get a logo. We don't see... It's not like a voice. It's just...
Yeah.
This face.
And it doesn't even get a name in this movie. It's not till the next movie that it gets a name, right?
Yeah. As far as I know, no one said the name.
It's just the corporation.
Which probably they wanted to imply that they own everything.
Yes.
Which
cool. I loved.
Yeah.
I love that part of the world building. Which I think that's also really cool, is that because we had so much time for a slow build up of exposition, we get the world building. But we don't get it with like 100 years ago, the corporation was formed, blah, blah, blah. No, we got it all through dialogue and through just context.
Or nothing. Like, there's stuff we didn't... You don't think about it when a movie doesn't tell you, but I do think about when I get it shoved in my face.
Yeah, exactly. That's honestly, that's a sign of good screenwriting, is not having to have, like, not to hate on movies that have wall crawl text at the beginning.
There's a way to... Star Wars does a good job with the wall crawl, at least the first ones.
Yes. But, like, generally speaking, a mark of a good...
Spider-Man's also a good wall crawler.
But generally speaking, the mark of good writing for this medium is to be able to convey the context of the world in a way that doesn't make it feel like they are just expositioning in your face.
Yeah. So, yeah, for everything... And again, it's tough to pick apart because, one, so much pop culture now is referencing this movie. And I also will admit, like... I can forget what I read in a comic book when I was 12 after I loved this series.
Yeah.
Versus what you know, like the acid thing. I don't know if that was in this movie, if it was in Aliens, if it was something I read.
What, the acid blood?
No, that the acid blood becomes inert once they've been dead for a certain
Oh,
amount of
got you.
time.
I think that got mentioned in this movie.
That's what I don't know. I know that's true. I might have read it in one of the 10 AVP novels I've read.
That's fair.
I can't go back and dissect purely what is this movie. It's tough for me.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's a good one.
I loved it too. Oh, it was so fantastic. And something that I know that I mentioned a lot, like while we were watching this film, was that the set and the cinematography and everything just reminded me of a combination of Star Wars and 2001 Space Odyssey.
Or like a dirtier, like an 80s version. Because like a lot of the 2001, I don't know as well, but Star Wars obviously I'm very familiar with.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of like the...
Well, 2001 is very clean, but it
That's
had...
what I was but even like the Corellian Corvette, the ship in the beginning of the first Star Wars movie, that's all like white. There's a lot of parts of this that look like that if you sprayed grease all over it and put up like
I mean, like there's a certain starkness to a lot of space design in films at this time period. But I loved that they made this more of like, this is definitely a blue collar ship.
Yeah, which,
you know what I mean?
Like the Millennium Falcon,
but it like
definitely has that. And
yeah,
this that New Hope would have came out 2 years before this, so it was a huge cultural icon. So as much as this movie influenced later stuff, I'm sure Star Wars influenced this one.
Yeah, because that very first opening shot of the
overhead
ship,
spaceship.
That was like that was absolutely had to have been influenced by Star Wars, at least a little bit.
What I know about Star Wars, that shot's probably from a Flash Gordon episode.
Admittedly, yeah, that's fair. That's fair, but like. You can see how different cultural pieces within the sci-fi setting.
And I'm sure there's stuff that Alien took from previous things that we don't know about.
Yeah.
But sci-fi's very...
But a lot of the building blocks are there. Like, I've watched 2001 A Space Odyssey a couple of times. I have a friend who's trying to get me to watch it more so that I understand it better.
It's not a good movie, though.
But yeah, no, just the composition of the shots and the way, like, the camera movements, especially in, like, the empty parts of the ship, just, like, oozed that feeling for me. So moving on to the coroner's report.
Rotten Tomatoes, like I said, we don't even need to do this. It's at 97%, the audience score is 94%. Like, there's not a lot of people that don't even, like, just... You hear Alien and you just go, oh yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, right? They even if they don't, like, if it's not their cup of tea, they still appreciate it.
Yeah.
As, like,
I'm actually surprised that the Metascore is only an 83.
Huh.
And the user score is 8.9, which is very high.
It is very high.
It's just, this isn't, it's on all, like, the Rolling Stones best 100 movies list. It's always in, like, the top 20, and everybody loves this movie.
Wow, look at that.
What's up?
Look at that critic review. Portland, Oregonian Sean Levy gave this a 100, and it said, this edition, clean and tight as Scott would have it, presents a strong case for Alien as both the greatest horror film and the greatest science fiction film ever made.
Yeah. It's
wow.
Just, it's 100% gotten the acknowledgement it deserves.
Absolutely. Oh, it's so good.
But I was surprised to see that they only spent, 79, like, I should look more at what contemporary budgets are, but they only spent $11 million, which...
Mm-hmm. That seems kind of low to me.
Yeah, for the
insane amount of
models
and effects.
Expensive to make. There's a reason CG took, like, now CG's more expensive, but
right.
It got popular originally because that shit's expensive.
Yeah.
And just beautiful sets that looked, I don't know. I was surprised it was only 11 million. But its opening weekend was only 3 million.
How much of that 11 million do you think was glycerin and corn syrup?
I mean, they probably had at least 2 buckets.
At least 2 buckets. How about at least 2 buckets per day of filming, probably?
Time the xenomorph opened its mouth. Where's it getting all that liquid from? Like, if I sweated that much in 10 minutes, I would be a mummy. But he's just
You do sweat a lot, though.
I know, so I relate, but he's just like, bleh, corn syrup.
I bet you they had, like a 50-gallon drum of that shit.
Just a hose hooked up to his penis head.
Gross.
So, yeah, the worldwide gross was $200 million. So, just a fucking box office smash. And I'm sure even, like, I don't know how the financials works, but obviously whoever owns this made
a lot of money on it.
which was another one, and Alien 3, and every piece of... Like, it's just probably one of the first, after Star Wars, world franchises.
I loved it.
So.
I loved it a lot. I thought it was incredible.
Yeah.
Definitely worth the watch. I mean, I was excited when the Dice told me that this was what we were going to watch this week.
So... It's been Alien.
Yeah.
Now, we don't have to roll the dice for next week because we've already watched Aliens, which I don't know how many people are listening, but I acknowledge that Aliens isn't really a horror movie.
It's not really. It's definitely more of an action movie, but you can't... Yeah. I feel like after having watched them, you cannot really do the one without the other.
As much as... You know, I think there's some purists out there, because I know I've run into them, that think, like, it's Alien, and then Aliens is just, you know, sci-fi schlock, but it's not.
It's really not.
I do think it tells...
It's incredible.
A whole story. Granted, a story that Aliens made up mostly halfway through, but I think it's a really good...
I still love it, and it was...
Duology?
Did you say duology?
Yeah.
Duality?
No. Like what would be not a trilogy.
Pair? Like a... Duet?
Yeah, you gotta get ology in there.
No, you don't.
That's why it's a duology.
It's a quartet, though.
Yeah, but no.
Trilogy and a quartet.
It's not.
It is. I have read enough books that have 4 parts to know that it's called a quartet.
No, but I'm saying what we're putting forth, that we'll edit all out, is that it's just these 2 movies tell the story.
Yeah.
So it's just 2.
But it's not a duology, you goob.
I'm
that's
pointing...
that's not what the word is. It's a pair.
I'm making duology a word.
It's a set.
I'm starting it.
No.
Just how prequel wasn't a word, now it is.
Prequel is different because it utilizes the exact same naming system for prefixes.
Trilogy. Duology.
No!
Yeah.
Also, you didn't say duology before. You said duology. And ology is the study of something.
Fine, a duology.
Oh my god. No, that's not...
A toology.
No! No. It's a series, okay?
No, but it's just... Series could be any number. And unfortunately, there are other movies in this series that don't need to be watched.
Then say pair.
Pair's not impressive.
You're not... No, that's a lie. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I was just doing it for the joke.
Goodbye.
Well, I guess that's the end. Tune in next week for Aliens, I guess. And let's see if Will actually comes back for that one. In the meantime, there's a lot of weirdos out there, you guys. So we're not alone. Except I guess I am right now. Yeah, you are alone. He's back!
No, I came back to say that. I'm leaving again. Goodbye.
Damn it.